1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Let's get into it. I am Mal Foster and you are listening to the latest episode of Dimed Out. And I know what you're thinking. I know what you're thinking because believe me, I'm thinking it. I'm feeling it too. When is it gonna end? Yeah, it's rough out there. The carnival keeps on going. We are getting closer towards election day. I mean, I know this doesn't affect some of you, thankfully. Yeah, but it's difficult, man. It is rough biscuits for sure. I have so many things to say, and if you follow me on Twitter, then you know what I have to say. You've seen it. You know that I'm kind of being belligerent about it at the minute. I'm trying not to bring it on here because I know that for a lot of people this is a comfortable spot, a good place to be, somewhere to get away from all that bullshittery. But yeah, man, I can't help it. It's leaking through. It's getting increasingly more difficult to deal with. It's getting more difficult to deal with what I'm seeing, and also to see the still absolutely mind-boggling, unwavering support for what I'm still seeing happening, and what is continuing to happen, and what is developing. All the nonsense that just keeps on happening, that keeps getting piled into the middle of all this, just still has so much support. It's insane. It's insane. I'm not going to tee off on this. There is an episode coming. So, you know, if you want that, it is coming. It is coming towards the back end of the first season, which this show is now. Yeah, that's the first bit of housekeeping, and it's a good way to leverage into different territories that are happier, I guess. Yeah, I made the decision to make this show a seasonal show. It was going to be just episodic, week after week after week after week. But then after some serious thinking and soul searching, I decided it's going to be better to do the show as a seasonal format for a number of reasons. First and foremost, it gives me a break. It allows me to live, to not worry about the minutiae of everything involved with the show. It gives me a chance to breathe and to just be, which, you know, I'm a huge believer in. I'm a huge advocate in just being. I don't practice what I preach nearly half as much as I should, so this is me allowing myself to do that, to actually follow my own advice for a change and just be. The other thing is it allows me to look further ahead. You know, I'm not playing catch-up. I'm not swimming against the tide, as it were. I can look at ideas for Season 2, can maybe look at chaining a few different themes together, look at reaching out to different guests and taking different approaches and trying different things. And at the same time, also listening to your feedback. You know, it gives you guys the opportunity to tell me what you like about the first season, what you didn't care so much for in the first season, which is just as, if not more important. And, you know, it allows you to help shape the show as well, because that's what I want. I don't want it to be just all of my ideas. Yes, I'm the one that's recording and editing and putting it together, but I want you guys to be just as equally involved. If there's a specific theme or a topic or an idea that you want to share, inject into the show, please do. Seriously, I'm always open to suggestions, and you can find me, as I've said in the past, the best way to find me is on Twitter at I am Mal Foster. Same goes for Instagram as well. Those are the two main platforms I use for the show. We do have a Facebook page / group, whatever it is, but that's basically just a billboard. I do a lot more interacting on Twitter and Instagram, so if you're not following me on there and you want to get in touch about the show or about anything, please do. I'm all ears. So yeah, the first season concludes, it caps off at episode 26. This is episode 21. At the end of this week's conversation, I'll kind of talk to you a little bit more about what you can expect in the next coming weeks leading up to the season finale. Oh man, that sounds kind of cool to say. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that at the back end. So yeah, if you want to know what to expect in the next coming few weeks, then stick around after the conversation and I'll kind of give you a little brief rundown of what you can expect. But in the meantime, two things. First and foremost, if you haven't listened to last week's episode with Scott Davidson from Living Adaptive, please do so. Not only is it a cracking episode, and yes, I'm going to say that, I'm going to put all modesty aside, it is a bloody cracking episode. Scott was an absolute pleasure to sit down with and talk to. I loved hearing about his story, I've loved getting to know him more, and I love getting to know what he is doing with Living Adaptive. I'm going to say no more because if you're not aware of what he's doing with Living Adaptive, if you're not aware of who Scott is, I'm not gonna spoil it for you. Go listen to the episode. Go enlighten yourself to some amazing stuff that is happening, and learn how you can also be a part of it as well. You know, because it's not just a case of listening and supporting. You can get active. You know, you can be a participant in making significant change. I have found that, you know, since talking with Scott, since learning about the adaptive community, I find myself getting more involved in little ways, not huge ways, just little ways, but still, you know, I think they help. I don't want to brag. In fact, I can't brag because in the grand scheme of things, it's a tiny drop in a very vast ocean of incredible achievements and accomplishments. But on Saturday, I did myself proud, somewhat. Ran my first official 10K, all in the name of We Just Felt Like Running, a virtual race for the Forest Stump organisation. And it felt good. It felt good doing something for somebody else, using my mobility for a good cause, raising some sense of awareness towards a really worthy cause, and it also just felt good on a personal level as well, you know, just doing something I haven't done before. Haven't ran 10K officially, and I certainly haven't ran that distance for some time, so that was challenging, but I did it, and I did it for a worthy cause. But anyway, I'm not bragging. Really not. Because it's not worth bragging about whatsoever. But go check out the episode with Scott. It's absolutely cracking. He's a lovely fella and he's doing amazing stuff. Speaking of lovely people doing amazing stuff, that brings us nicely into this week's episode. It's the first of two conversations with the always wonderful and just absolutely charming and illuminating RachAel Shaw. I don't think she's been called illuminating. Maybe she has, I don't know. I'll have to check with that. You know, I'll have to ask if she's ever been referred to as illuminating, but I'm going to make a bold prediction. That's the one. I'm going to make one of those. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. Within the first 5 to 10 minutes of this conversation, if you are wearing socks, I think RachAel's going to charm them right off your feet. I've known RachAel for about 16 years, something like that. Wow. That just makes me feel really old now. Anyway, I've known her for quite some time and I always have time for her. She is whip smart, she's really sweet, she's really funny, she's dorky, she's delightful, and it was an absolute pleasure to have her come on the show and talk about a whole bunch of stuff. Next week, we're getting into alternative medicine, alternative lifestyle practices, self-betterment techniques. We get into what we refer to as woo-woo stuff. Yeah, we kind of talk about it a little bit here, but we touch more upon it next week. But this week, we are talking about a very big change in RachAel's life. I'm not going to get too much into it because that is the main crux of this episode. But needless to say, she is making an inspired choice. She is branching out. She's doing something on her own. She's doing something that she believes in, something that she cares about, something that she is passionate about. Similar to Scott. And, you know, I always have time for people that are willing to take a chance, you know, to roll the dice, especially when it's something that they care about and that they are invested in and something that is just very much them. And I think you will agree when we get into this part of the conversation with RachAel that is exactly what is happening here. I'm going to plug her company at the end, but in the meantime, I'm going to waste no more time. This is me talking with the always wonderful and illuminated RachAel Shaw. This is it, because there is no grand intro, as you're probably well aware of.
Oh, do I not
It's
get like a big?
not on air. You
Oh,
get a build up beforehand, like everyone does. But I just
pumped
find it
for that.
awkward introducing people while I'm talking to them.
When you're looking at them.
Yeah, it's
I
a
get
bit
that.
odd. Yeah. Plus, it's training me to make the intros shorter as well, because I tend to waffle on a little.
That's the whole. That's your like jazz, though, isn't it? Your
Oh,
jam.
just
Your
talking
jazz.
shit. Yeah, it's my
Oh,
jazz
good
jam.
shit. It's your jazzy jam. It's good though. I like it.
My
It's what
jazzy
makes you
jam.
you.
Yeah, and that's why I can do this, because I'm pretty well adapted at just talking nonsense in what I like to think is a reasonably entertaining way. But
I think it's pretty entertaining.
cool,
I'm into it.
nice. That's all I need. That's all I need. So how are you doing?
I'm really good. I am in the middle. Well, I've actually just finished the second of 2 courses that I booked myself
Oh,
for when I ended work. So, bit of background. I
okay.
quit my job, obviously, as you know. I quit my job like 3 months ago, not really knowing what I wanted to do,
Uh-huh.
and that finished 2 weeks and a day ago. But what I did is, because I had a 3 month notice period to work, and I've had worked so intensely for such a long time, and I didn't really know what was next. I kind of planned so that the 2 weeks immediately following finishing work, I would do 2 courses that I've wanted to do for ages, of like
Right.
professional development and get a good professional qualification behind me, and that kind of then creates a bit of a transition. However, in the meantime, I've like been looking for jobs and been offered a job and I've turned down a job and decided that I'm going to set up my own business and had all these crazy ideas. So yeah, I'm pumped and I'm energized and I'm buzzed because my brain is honestly just full of exploding of ideas and things that I want to do. So I feel really like I'm on like a proper energy high at the minute. It's really good actually.
This is like music to my ears, because
Good.
we've talked off air about this quite a bit, and
Mm-hmm.
I know full well that this has been not an easy decision for you, because you've been somebody that has been working since 15, right, steadily.
Yeah.
So to kind of go into, I mean, it's difficult for anybody, especially at the minute when everything is so uncertain, to kind of go into a phase of unemployment. It's it's concerning, and it's a sort of area in which you're adding more uncertainty to a situation which is out of your hands. But you found yourself at a crossroads, as you've just sort of mentioned, about possibly taking up another position which wasn't a million miles away from what you've been doing, or setting something up of your own. And both have pros and cons, and you were a little bit uncertain about what to do. It seemed like you were kind of pulled in 2 directions.
Everyone I spoke to, I was like 80% this way. Then I spoke to somebody else and I was 80% the other way. And I was like, what? I don't even know my own mind anymore. Yeah, it was tough. I had a rough weekend last weekend.
But you came to this decision by yourself, though. I mean, it's good that you were weighing up people's opinions and getting people's sort of feedback and using people as soundboards. But this is something that you've come to on your own volition, right? This is something that you've taken stock of everyone's answers and ideas and opinions, but you've ultimately sat with it. I'm hoping this is the case, that you've sat
No,
with it.
Sean forced me.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. No, I did. But I had a really. Do you know what was really weird? I did the traditional pros and cons list on a piece of paper, and my pros for both were pretty lengthy and pretty equal, and my cons for both were relatively small and relatively equal. And actually, the biggest con of all for doing my own thing is this is terrifying and it's completely unknown and it's highly risky and there's just no financial stability behind it, which really those cons outweighed the cons of taking a steady job with a steady wage again. But there was one thing on the pros, well, it was kind of floating around in between all of them.
Yeah.
And it was like, if you take this job, this will be a con, and if you don't take it, it will be a pro. And it was basically that I wouldn't be being my true, genuine, authentic self, and that is something that's come from I've been working with like a life coach, which sounds so airy-fairy, so I like to call her a professional development coach, for the last 12 months. And she's worked with me through all sorts, and it's like a weird merge of counselling as well, in a weird way. But
Yeah,
she's
I
been
can see that.
amazing. Yeah, but it's not. And she told me, like, the way that they define counselling is when, I can't remember what it was, but counselling is kind of like when you need to look at the past, and coaching is like looking at the future and the now.
Okay. Yeah.
It kind of did touch on things like that as well. Like she went into things like, why do you always take loads of extra work on? Why do you, it's like kind of, you have to feel needed, or you have to feel in control. And so I've worked through all these different things, but there's a few things that she said to me over the last year, and they've really just stuck with me. And one of them is about being your true and genuine, authentic self. And I'm like, why can't everybody just have that opportunity? Which I'm fully aware it's not really an option for everybody, and I am super privileged because this was my choice. It wasn't forced on me like so many other people.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you were saying how it's really uncertain times and it's really hard to go through this, and I think there's hundreds of thousands of people now who have been forced into this situation. They haven't made that decision, whereas I have. And at some points when I was telling people, I decided to quit my job, and I think everybody just assumed that I'd been let go, or my role had been made redundant. And I was like, no. And everyone thinks it's because of COVID. And I'm like, no, I've been thinking about this for 6 months, and it's my decision. And I feel like I'm really privileged, and I do know that, but also a little bit selfish when there's other people who haven't had that option. But I had to do it for me because, like, my mental health needed it, really.
Yeah, I get that. I get the feeling of when you compare and contrast yourself to other people's situations, and it might feel like it's a selfish play. But if you can do something for yourself that's going to improve yourself, then that by proxy kind of improves things, not just for you internally, but for those people around you as well. So it kind of has a knock-on effect.
Yeah, that's a really good point, actually.
At the end of the day, if you are not looking after yourself, then I honestly don't know. I mean, there's a limitation. Sure, don't be a selfish douchebag, 100%. Right? Think of other people. I know that was your plan, right? But no, I think you do just have to look after yourself. I mean, that sounds really obvious, but
no, you're right though, because I think what you're saying is right about that periphery and the people. Like, you know, it's that that domino effect or whatever. Because actually, I think, and I've said this loads of times, I've probably even said it to you, like, the last however many years, probably like building up over the last 7 years, while I have been properly not deliberately chasing down a career, but just naturally throwing myself into it. I've not been as good of a friend. I've certainly not been as a good wife. I'm not a good daughter. I'm not really a good anything, you know, like in terms of benefiting people's lives. I used to be really bloody good at buying the most thoughtful presents for people, and I used to be super thoughtful, you know, just like leave little notes lying around the house for Sean. I used to just be super thoughtful to everybody, and just send people little notes and send people little texts or emails or just anything like that. And I feel like definitely over the last 2 or 3 years that has gone. Like, I honestly got to a point where I was like, I need to start writing down things that are happening in my friends' lives and check what I'm writing before I speak to them, because I haven't got a clue what's going on in their lives, because I can't remember, because it's all just full of work.
Yeah,
that's bad, isn't it?
It is. It's not good, Rachel. I'll be honest.
But it's already getting better, I think.
But the thing is, as well, you know, and to kind of add a little bit of counterbalance to that, at least you're having the thought about that. At least you're kind of recognizing that was happening, and that you are consciously thinking, oh, I'm missing things here. You know, I'm not exactly who I want to be or where I want to be. And that goes a long way, you know, just the act of recognition. And even if you don't particularly act on it as hard or as immediately as you probably could or should do, you know, recognizing is definitely better than just plowing through blindly and not realizing this until somebody else tells you.
I have noticed a lot more people, and this is kind of something that we could talk about in terms of curating your world around you, I guess.
Okay.
So the journey that I took to get to this, which is a bit random. Sorry, I'm just going off on a tangent.
No, go for it. That's what we do here. Random
That
tangents.
is what we do. So I feel like all this started by, I started listening to a podcast.
Was it this one?
Called, no, it was Ramble On, because it was too far ago. This didn't exist then. It was, no, it was called Little Chapters.
Okay.
And it's just these two girls who are on Instagram, and one of them's like super minimalist, and the other one is her friend she like helps businesses with marketing and stuff. And I can't even remember how I randomly found these people on Instagram, and then they started a podcast, and I started listening to it, and both of them have given up their jobs to go and do their own thing.
Okay.
But they're also a little bit woo-woo, and
what do you mean by woo-woo? Can we get a bit more of a concrete definition? And what makes them woo-woo?
They do tarot cards and into spirituality and...
What is that?
Just spirituality.
Not into spirituality. Is that like people with different...
No, they're into
Oh,
it.
they're into... Oh, I thought they were like merging different beliefs to create like a hybrid system. That probably does exist.
Probably. But they're like... They're super sensible, but also woo-woo, but also really authentic to themselves. Anyway, so this kind of... I was listening to these, and it didn't actually go on for very long. They did maybe 10, 11 episodes. I was really gutted when they stopped, and I actually messaged them and everything, like, what's going on, guys? I miss you. Proper fangirling over some random Instagram person. Sounds totally not like me.
It actually doesn't. It's very strange, but yeah.
Honestly, I'll send you the links. You'll understand why. One of them's just like, she literally just has a capsule wardrobe. And it was actually at the point where me and Sean started going down the minimalism route and getting rid of things, not in the Marie Kondo way. Marie Kondo. That's it. Yeah. Not in the spark of joy kind of way, because I don't know. It doesn't have to be like that.
No, see, I kind of followed her as a template for moving over here in terms of like looking at things I want to get rid of, things I want to keep. And I did that, but I didn't do the whole hold it to your chest and whisper in it to you thing, you know, of like sending it on its way into the universe. It's nice. That's a nice idea. There's nice sentiment.
No, it's lovely.
But that is a little bit what I would say is woo-woo.
Yeah, that's woo-woo. Exactly. Yeah, it is. That's a bit woo-woo. But not my sort of woo-woo.
No.
I've got to...
You have your own particular branch of woo-woo, which I'm sure we'll get to.
Exactly. Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You were saying about little chapters, minimalism.
Yeah, and so like a lot of the stuff they were talking about, and a lot of like they were talking about comparison being the thief of joy, and I don't know, I've never really listened too much to podcasts apart from yours.
Good answer.
So I was never. So yeah, I was proper hooked on it, and then when it stopped, I was like, oh man.
I
started listening.
Can I rewind a second? Because you just dropped a phrase that I like. Comparison is the thief of joy. Is that what you said?
Yeah.
So I'm presuming they mean as in you comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
And that's basically taking away from the joy that you could elicit by just being you and doing things that you like and you enjoy.
Yeah.
Is that kind of what I'm getting from that?
Exactly. And social media is obviously the biggest culprit of that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And that kind of comes back to like curating your own feed, I guess, as well as you can look at curating your social media, and you can look at like curating your life and surrounding yourself with people with similar values and all these different things. And I think over this time I've been subconsciously curating my environment around myself. And so yeah, that's where it started from. Then when they went, I was like, oh my god, what am I going to listen to now? Then I started listening to Oprah's Super Soul Sundays while I was out running, but selectively, because you know the story about the dog with three... Oh my god, I nearly said 3 days.
Wow. Now that's a story. That's a hook for any podcast. I don't care how famous you are. You could be Oprah, you could be Ollie down the street who works at the BP garage. If you're doing a show in which you have a story about a dog with 3 dicks, I'm downloading that.
Oh my god.
Wow.
The dog with 3 legs.
Right.
Yeah, I skipped that one. But she has all these people on, like Eckhart Tolle, and yeah, I've been listening to more and more of this stuff, and I was like, oh, all these people are living their best lives. Sounds so corny. I'm like, why can't I have that? So corny. But yeah, so I've been building this up, and then I started just following random groups on Facebook. And again, I'm not really a big poster on social media, but I'm a big lurker.
Right.
And so now, honestly, I follow so many groups basically of just inspiring people. So Adventure Queens, Love Her Wild, a lot of them are like outdoors related,
Sure.
basically. Mountains for the Mind, sustainability, sustainable fashion, a lot of like eco-friendly ones, basically loads of groups of like-minded people who share similar passions and values that I do. And I've noticed, totally full circle, see, I can do a tangent but I can come back, that there's loads and loads of people posting on these groups saying how they're at a crossroads, they want to change what their life is like, and they're being inspired by all these other people that they have come together with on the internet, all these strangers, and everybody's kind of mentoring each other. They're like geeing each other on and saying, oh yeah, I did this last year and I've gone and studied X and Y course and you can do it. And it's just been so inspiring, and I've thought, yeah, I can do this, and just looked at all these other people who are going through the same thing and who have been so inspired by other people doing it already. And yeah, it's been a big help, as well as obviously, like Sean being super supportive.
As good and as important as integral as it is to have the support and constant sort of goal nourishment from those around you, people that you live with, people that you love, I think it is actually really important for you to find places of like-minded individuals who are coming together under the same umbrella of interests and who are supporting each other. I can attest to that. For all the ills that are on Facebook, for all the sort of trappings of social media, one thing I found that is really good, it kind of really sort of cements what you've just said, is that there are groups that really do kind of help each other with either resources or just support. So whether it's for like podcasting stuff, which I've been looking into recently, or if it's writing groups where people share their stories about what they're working on, they will ask people for advice. What would you do with this? What would you do that? Some people will share success stories of saying, I've just self-published my first book. Here's the artwork and stuff like that. And it's generally really, really nice. And I think that is the part of the internet that I have found to be the most beneficial in, I would say, the last year for sure, is seeing people actually be nice to each other, as they say, under an umbrella of a shared interest and supporting each other. So yeah, I totally get where you're coming from. And I can see how, if you've tapped into, it seems like you've tapped into a number of networks that have really kind of helped sort of power you to your energized state that you seem to be at. Yeah, you seem supercharged.
I am super. I have just done an absolutely insane mega run though as well. So and and on Tuesday, so I'm like at the peak of my running fitness at the minute as well. So I'm just like, yes.
It seems honestly, it's an absolute joy to see you at this point.
Even with my straggly hair.
That's right. Even with your straggly
and
hair
my red face, white tash post run.
That's right,
face.
and your massive headphones. I wanted to get back to the crossroads in your life and the decision that you've made and the reason that you were so hyper energized and supercharged. What is it that you are now going to be doing?
So now what I'm going to be doing, I haven't quite properly formalized it, whatever the word is.
Formulated. Is that it?
Yeah.
One of those. Don't worry, I get words all wrong.
Mushed it in my brain.
Sure, we all know what you mean.
So I'm Trelloing like crazy and just throwing things on there because, like I said, my head's been buzzing full of ideas. Especially while I've been on my courses, it's almost come at the wrong time because I want to just focus on my new business idea. But what I really want to do is I want to be like a business consultant to really small entrepreneurs or small startup businesses who have an ethical or eco-friendly or sustainable focus in their business. So what I have seen, and I don't know if it is because of COVID or if it's just a sign of the times, but so many people are starting up their own businesses now, literally from their spare rooms or from their parents' house, or just from their garage, or they're doing it part-time. And a lot of these people are setting up like vegan skincare or vegan bakeries. There's like eco-friendly kids, because obviously this is a huge thing in the media, and it's almost like on trend to be eco-friendly and sustainable, which is no bad thing. Like, I have no problem, and I also controversially slightly don't have as much of a problem with big companies greenwashing, because at least if they're moving the right direction, that's better than, they're not just going to stop trading and change everything that they do. I would rather that they are heading in the right direction.
Sure.
So I've seen a big boom in like zero waste shops and all these different places. And what I'm thinking is there is quite a lot of people who support small businesses and actually large businesses from the social media standpoint and from like an accountancy and finance. But I really focused in my career, and what I think I can provide to these companies is organizational strategy, just processes and procedures, like all the boring stuff, revenue optimization, like the stuff that but not the sexy stuff, not the buying and researching fancy products. I mean, I'll do that as well, because who's not going to want to sit on the internet and look for fun stuff? Not like generating leads and writing copy and doing fancy social media posts, because I ain't into that stuff. I will build you a spreadsheet.
But it could be a sexy spreadsheet.
Oh yeah, it will be, obviously. That's the sexy stuff to me, but to other people who, they're a nurse full time, and on the side they sell I don't know, they sell handmade jewelry or something that's made out of recycled plastic bottles. They just want to get on with making things and selling it and being out there and talking to the customers. They don't want to be like, oh well, how do I optimize my inventory management and all that stuff. So that's kind of where I think I could come in and like help them out. And so that's, but like I say, this is inception phase at the moment in my brain.
Sure. This stuff is all incredibly integral, though, because I can tell you from my standpoint, and although it's not a business, it is a thing that I make and distribute, and the logistics are the thing that I hate doing the most. I hate putting together calendars. I hate looking ahead. I hate getting things organized. I hate all of the sort of structural rigmarole that goes with it. And it's so time consuming. So I'm really confident in the fact that what you can do, all the sexy spreadsheet stuff, will be in demand, especially as you say, a lot of people are starting up businesses because they are seeing this as a launch pad to do something that maybe they've been doing in the background, like you say, making jewelry, doing things and doing it on the side a little bit at a time when they can. A lot of people are now having more time to do that and are looking at this as, well, this is maybe a viable opportunity for me to work for myself. So you are getting more people doing that, but don't even know where to begin with terms of organization and distribution and all of that sexy stuff.
That's it. And I think actually you touched on it there, because so many people with them being on furlough have, it might have been something they were just playing at before. They're suddenly on furlough and they're like, I can throw myself into my business. And then they suddenly realise, oh, actually, I can actually make this into a business that can make money. I read a book not so long ago which also helped me kind of make my decision, called How to Find Fulfilling Work. And I've read a couple of things about this, and it said, if you have the fear that you need to make something work, you will make it work. So say like you've got a part-time job or you've got a full-time job and you do something on the side that really is your passion, but you don't want to leave your full-time secure job because your passion might not work. It'll never work. Well, it might do, but 9 times out of 10 it probably won't, because your focus isn't on it. But suddenly you quit your job, like this idiot over here, and you have to make it work because you don't have a choice. You have to make it work because that is going to become your secure future. And I think like having people on furlough, it's kind of almost given them that time and that energy and that drive to think, oh, the stuff that I love doing at the weekend, I could just do it in the week and have my weekends back to, do other stuff and do what I love as a job. Why not? So yeah, I think it's been And that's why a couple of people who were negative about my decision, which was mainly like the HR person at the place that had offered me the job, was saying it's really not a good time to go and set up, especially as a consultancy, and in the current climate and all this sort of stuff. I'm seeing as a massive opportunity, because there is a big boom in all these small businesses who've really just grown so much over the last few months, and now they're like, oh crap, I've actually got more sales than I know what to do with, and I can't manage it, and I'm actually running out of stock. And so yeah, I think I'm hoping that it's going to be very successful.
Yeah, I think so too. I do genuinely think it is. For all those reasons that we've recapped. But you touched on something at the end there, which is also really interesting, because people are beginning to find success in it, and they're beginning to maybe become a little bit overwhelmed with what's happening, in terms of sales, and there's going to be more demand on stuff, especially people that are actually making things, I think, because one thing that quarantine, lockdown, pandemic has really inspired people to do is pursue hobbies and crafts and making things, tactile things. So you're seeing more and more of that. And, I imagine, and this is just pure speculation, but stuff on Etsy, for example, is probably booming because people have the time to do that more. And because they're getting more sales come in, as you say, it's becoming a little bit overwhelming for them. It's kind of like, well, I was used to doing like 3 or 4 orders every few weeks. Now I'm doing 3 or 4 orders every few days. And I can't spare the time to do the logistics, the organization, the resourcing, and make the stuff. So I think now is a really good time. As weird as it sounds with so much uncertainty, I think it is actually a really good time for that sort of thing.
Yes.
But the nature of you targeting eco-specific businesses, this is because this is something that's near and dear to you, right?
Yeah.
And who you are. And this kind of, I imagine, goes back to the idea of authenticity and being your authentic self.
Yes, exactly. My inner hippie. Or my Fippie. That's what
your Fippie.
Fippie. That's what some of my friends and Sean call it. My because I'm a fake hippie.
Oh, why are you a fake hippie?
I don't know, and this is the thing. It's like, because I've had this like corporate job where I'm like flying around the world and I'm like some super boss lady.
Oh, so it's kind of like the fakeness comes from these are things that you generally care about, but what you've been doing before have kind of contradicted it a little bit.
Exactly.
So,
and also because I do actually really like structure and spreadsheets and being on time. That's not really like what a hippie's like, is it? And I like being a control freak.
I don't think that was at the nucleus of Woodstock. I don't think spreadsheets and scheduled calendars were
and I'm really not into drugs. Like I can't even stand being drunk because I don't want to feel like I'm not in control of my body and my mind.
So, do you feel
I'd be
like
the worst hippie?
Do you feel like you're more comfortable at being a hippie or a Fippie now than you would be in like the summer of love in like '67?
Oh my god, yeah. Like, and I'm a massive prude as well, so like I wouldn't be into that. I really like the idea of being maybe it's not a hippie, it's just something else. I'm just like spiritual. You can be spiritual without all the weird hippie stuff, can't you?
You can be spiritual without being religious as well. You can, it's about fine tuning what works for you. And, you use the phrase Fippie, and, I kind of get that a little bit with the contrast of sort of a corporate lifestyle and what have you. But it's redefining set ideas and labels and beliefs and stereotypical elements of what a thing is. Everybody has an idea of what a hippie is. For example, we'll just keep using that for the time being, but it doesn't necessarily have to be solely that. You can incorporate a lot of the same beliefs, the same care for ecosystem of the planet, of the preservation of Earth, but at the same time, you can also enjoy things that contrast it. I feel like you don't.
Starbucks.
Exactly. There you go. You can be all about zero waste, but at the same time, occasionally allow yourself something from Starbucks. I just
in a reusable cup though.
Definitely, because otherwise, really can't claim any hippie credentials.
No.
Yeah, I think that's fair enough. That we're at a point where we should be able to sort of pick and choose. You know, identity is not just a singular thing, and it's not just a singular thing that's based on a set amount of predetermined factors and elements. You know, the world is changing. Everything is becoming more fluid. Everything's overlapping a lot more, and yeah, you know, you can be a hippie
or a Fippie.
Yeah. So yeah, we're saying that you've picked this because it's more true to your identity, as it is something that you genuinely believe and are passionate about. And I know that because we've talked about zero waste, we've talked about conservation stuff before in the past. Did you feel that outside of it being an authentic thing to you, that it had to be something that you would be interested in? And is that one of the reasons why you've decided to do it? Because this is something that you can push forward in an area where you actually care about? Because from my perspective, I've worked countless jobs where I couldn't give a toss about what I was selling or what the company did.
Yes, but do you know why? Because no matter what job I do, I don't know what it is about my personality, but I am all in. Like, my friends have said to me, you could be cleaning toilets and you would clean that toilet. Like, it would be the cleanest toilet ever. Because when it's a job, I don't know if it's something that's been inbuilt to me from like being a child, or if it's my control. I don't know what it is, but I am in it. So I used to work at an ink manufacturer. Who's excited by that? And it was all about like Pantone colours, but I don't know, I was really into it. And when I used to work in like clothes shops, I mean, I quite liked clothes at the time and stuff, and I was just really into it. So I think my problem is, not a problem, I guess it's not a problem, but when it comes to work, I'm very dedicated and very hardworking, and I think that I would be one of those people who, if I won the lottery, I don't really want to win the lottery. I would quite happily win enough money that I could do something that makes sad animals happy, but I would still want to carry on working because I feel like that's my purpose in life. So if I'm going to throw myself all in and I'm going to do that and I'm going to like kill myself for my career, why not do it for myself, and why not do something that's actually going to benefit other people and the planet? So yeah, I think it had to be something like that. I would have worked at it and made it work and worked hard, no matter what the end goal was,
Sure.
or the purpose. But to align it then even with my own values and what I want in the world, then yeah, I don't know, it gives you that extra fire in your belly, and I think that's what's going to keep me motivated through the winter months when things are going to get tough, I'm sure, because I do not do well in winter. And you know, when it's not looking like it's going to be successful, which I'm sure will be happening in the next few months or year or whatever, that's what's going to keep me going. The knowledge that, yes, I'm doing this not just because it's a job, but I'm doing this for me, for my family, and for the planet.
See, I think you have to do that, though. If you're going to embark on something like what you're doing, setting up shop on your own, you have to be doing something that either you know that you can do extremely well, or either way, something that you genuinely care about. Because there will be points where it's tough. There'll be points where you doubt what you've done. There'll be points where you doubt what you're doing and where things are going. But having that to fall back on, to realize that I'm doing it for this reason, what I'm doing is this thing that I care about, that is of a benefit to me because it's something I'm personally invested in, and because in your situation it's helping others in the long term.
Yeah,
with the nature
I think
of
it's down to what your motivator is, though. Do you not think? Because some people are so motivated by money that actually they would do something that is not really aligned with their values just because they know it can make a shed load of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what they need.
Yeah, of course you will get people that do that, but I call them soulless automatons, and I have no time for them. If you're doing something simply because it's going to make you a shed load of money, you can get out. I don't care to speak to you. Honestly, I don't. You know, if you're doing something because it's something you love, it's something that appeals to you on a deep level that resonates, absolutely, I will talk to you all day about that. I want to pick your brains. If you're doing something that you have zero interest or knowledge in, but simply because you know it can make you a bit of cash, piss off.
You know how hard that is, though? Like, honestly, the amount of people that I've spoken to, and sorry, we are going on about this like whole life decision a bit, but the amount of people that I've spoken to, and actually I spoke to another ex-colleague of mine this week when I was making my decision, who's actually a contractor, and he was really open, and he said, you know, we're doing this for completely different reasons. Like, I'm doing this because I want to make as much money as possible in the shortest amount of time as possible, and I'll charge £800 a day. And I was like, that's so much money. But companies will pay that for people's skills. And it is really, really hard to get people to understand and believe what your motivations are, because I've had quite a few interviews recently, and I actually have had to lie about my previous salary, because I was getting so many rejections for jobs that I knew that I could do, and it was either my title or my salary, and people didn't believe that I'd want to take more than half of what I was earning, you know, like a third of what I was earning. I guess they just clearly didn't understand my motivation. And I was actually sending a lot of emails to say, I just want to address this element of my current title and my salary, because even though I was dropping it down, it was still significantly more than what they were offering. And I just didn't like, the responses back were really tough. And Sean actually did the same 2 or 3 years ago, where he wanted to take a step back, and he got a lot of weird, awkward questions, and people just having a huge disbelief about, well, why don't you want more money? Why do you want less money? And I was like, what is wrong with people? And it makes me think that so many people are money motivated, that the fact that it's so hard to get across your point that is not a motivator for us.
It's sad, but it's an indictment of the world we live in sort of Western society. The fact that there is so much onus and emphasis put on money being a driving factor for things. And of course, in some cases, it has to be. Some cases, people have to go for money to provide, to survive. But when it becomes just the standard, when it becomes the social norm, that you only apply for a job or you only do a job because it pays X amount, it's pretty sad. But you know, if anything, I think that this period that we're in now is hopefully going to reignite people's belief in passion for doing something as being a motivator. As a
I think so.
I hope so. But we'll see.
I hope so.
We shall see. But this is exciting, and I'm genuinely really excited for you, because I think that I don't even think I'm going to change my rhetoric. I know that's the difference. I know that you can be successful at this because I know how good you are at what you do and how hardworking you are. And that, coupled with the fact it is something that you believe in, something that you have an investment in. Yeah, I think this is going to be all kinds of ace.
Thank you. I do feel a lot of pressure. Everyone keeps telling me that they know that I will be successful. I'm like, oh my God.
But you got to ride that. You just got to take that. You got to use that as fuel. You got to use that.
Manifest it.
Yeah, absolutely. To kind of step into some woo-woo territory, so you do have to manifest it. If you cannot imagine it being successful, it's not going to happen. Period.
Yes.
If you cannot envision what you are trying to do, don't even bother to start. Because if you come out the gate and you're just like, well, it's not likely to, is it? Then newsflash, it isn't at all.
Do you manifest stuff then? Are you a little bit into woo-woo?
Yeah, absolutely. I am a little bit into woo-woo. I am really into the idea of positive manifestation, of creating imagery in your head. The amount, and this is going to sound absolutely ridiculous, but I don't care because I'll put it out there. This is going to sound ridiculous, but I have on a number of occasions imagined what it would be like to go on a TV talk show about a book that I've written. I've imagined sitting down doing podcasts with other people talking about stuff that I've done. And I played it in my head almost as if it's like a future premonition. And that sounds really arrogant. I know it does. But
I don't think so.
But at the same time, if I just sit there and think, oh, well, let's imagine what it will be like in 2 years. And the image that comes to my head is just a folder on my laptop that no one opens but me. What is that going to achieve?
Nothing. No, I
Exactly.
like that. No, I do like that. And I think that it shows like how open you are, because I think you're a little bit like me and you'll try a bit of anything, you know, like all these fun, crazy things that you'll try that you've tried before.
Yeah.
So have you ever done, I don't know what it's called. Is it self-affirmations, where you look yourself in the mirror and you have a word with yourself, but like,
No,
it's a proper thing?
I haven't, but Andy, who was on the show a couple of weeks ago, has done, and we were talking about this. I'm going to try and, if I've got them to hand, yeah. So we were talking about affirmations, and this is something that she's been doing, and I really like these. I'm going to use these again. These came up a couple of weeks ago, but she was talking to me about affirmations, and I asked for specific ones that she's been using, and she has 3 key affirmations that she gave me, and they are: I have everything I need, I can survive anything and thrive, and I can take care of myself even when I want to harm myself.
They're fantastic ones. It is hard though. Have you tried it? Have you actually like looked yourself in the mirror and talked to yourself?
I haven't.
It's hard. It's really hard. My professional development coach made me do it in a room with her when we were like talking through some stuff, and I just broke down in tears the first time I did it. Like for the first 10 seconds I felt stupid as hell, and then for the next 10 seconds I was like, wow, when you talk your face is weird. And then I just started crying.
Why do you think you started crying?
Right, so you do it because you tell yourself something that you don't really believe until you believe it, don't you? And I think she'd maybe told me to say something to myself like, I can't even remember what she said, but it was kind of like, you are strong and you are powerful and you were great. I don't know, it was like someone telling me I was wonderful. It's just a weird thing to say, looking at yourself in a mirror and saying it. It's just hard.
Do you think it came from the sense that you were actually allowing yourself to be kind to yourself in an external fashion, not just like thinking, okay, I'm a good person, but actually verbalizing it as if you were talking to somebody else?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably. Because it is very easy to be nice and be kind and be complimentary to other people, but outwardly saying it to yourself, that's like weird. That's like getting a compliment from yourself.
Right. I was just about to say that takes us back to compliments. You know, if you can't receive a compliment from a stranger or somebody that you know, how can you receive a compliment from yourself? Yeah, that's something that I have an issue with. Like, I've always had an issue with being kind to myself and nice to myself. I'm good in recognizing what I can do and what I can't do, and kind of doing the things that I think I can do. Well, I'm even doing it now. I'm doubting my own abilities and skills.
Do not doubt yourself, Malcolm.
But yeah, actually being kind to myself and nice about myself and recognizing strengths and abilities has been an issue for me. So I have not tried the mirror-based affirmations, but do you know, as a piece of homework, I think I'm going to try that.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Yeah.
Please do it and let me know how you get on.
Yeah. Yeah, so it probably won't surprise you to know that I actually haven't done my affirmations homework just yet, but it's going to happen at some point. I'm determined to actually do it at some point. I'm not quite there yet. Maybe I need to be, though. Maybe that's the thing that's going to help me power through the next 3 to 4 weeks. Just psyching myself up in the mirror, shouting compliments at myself in the mirror. Maybe that's what's going to do it. Anyway, that was the first of 2 conversations with, as I said at the top of the show, the always delightful, always wonderful, always illuminated RachAel Shaw. How's them socks, huh? Right? Told you. I absolutely loved sitting down. I love sitting down and talking with Rachel anyway, but getting to sit and talk about the reasons why she's done what she's done and talk about just everything involved with it. I mean, if you were going to pick somebody out of a crowd that's going to succeed at something they care about, she would be the person. She's got the skills, she's got the knowledge, she's got the know-how, she's got the drive, the determination, she's got the passion, the care, the enthusiasm for it as well, because that's a huge part of it. So whether you are just making things at your kitchen table and selling them on Etsy, or you have an eco-based business plan that can affect the community, and you need some guidance, you maybe are looking to find areas where you can grow, you may be looking to strengthen some of the potential weaknesses in your business, or you're just looking at how to get out there and expand an idea that you have, I'm telling you, she's the person you need to go and speak to. And I'm going to plug her to the moon and back. You can find links to all of her stuff at dimed-out.com. That's probably going to be the easier way. We'll use that as a little jumping launch pad, a sort of jumping portal for you to get to all the places Rachel is at. But you can also go directly to the source as well. If you are at the hands of a browser right now, if you've got your little phone in your hand, if you're at a laptop, then the place you want to go to is RachAelShawConsulting.co.uk. I'm going to spell that for you real quick. That's RACHAEL. That's the spelling of Rachel, so that's RACHAEL, Shaw, SHAW, consulting, as in consulting.co.uk. RachAelShawConsulting.co.uk. But as I said, I'm going to put all the links to her website, to her social media stuff. All of that you can find at dimed-out.com. I'm also going to be plugging that through my social media stuff this week as well. So if you do follow me on Twitter and Instagram, you can find links to it there. But honestly, I am so behind this. I'm so excited for this. I just, knowing her the way I do, knowing what she can bring to the dance in terms of what she's doing, it's a no-brainer. It's going to be something pretty special. I have so much faith in what she's doing, and just so much support, again, for just people in general that are doing something they love, something that is just them. You know when somebody, you can just tell when somebody is just so invested in something, or they are projecting themselves into what they do, it just shines. Speaking of which, I'm about to tell you more about what you can expect for the last section of the first season. What you can expect before the season finale. Yeah, it just sounds so good, right? Season finale. So you've got next week, and we are going to be talking with Rachel again, but we're going to be talking about, as I said at the top of the show, about sort of alternative medicine, alternative practices, self-help, self-healing, betterment. We get into what we refer to on this episode as woo-woo stuff, but we kind of get more into it. So we're talking about yin yoga and crystal reiki stuff, gong baths, forest bathing, cupping, Chinese medicine. So if you're into all of that stuff, if you do like yourself a little bit of woo-woo, then that is definitely one for you. If not, I don't know what to tell you. Listen to it anyway. It may open your eyes to something you didn't know existed. It certainly did that for me a number of times. I will tell you that for sure. Keeping it on a woo-woo tip, for episode 23, I'm actually going to be going through my dream journal. Yes, that's right. During the whole COVID era, I, like many people, have had quite a bit of insomnia, some weird sleeping patterns, and even weirder dreams. Yeah, some of them are particularly strange, so I'm going to be reading through my dream journal verbatim and using some different sources to find out what they, allegedly mean. Yeah, I'm a touch skeptical on all of that, but it should be interesting to maybe try and decode what I've been telling myself subconsciously during this whole COVID mess at night time. So yeah, episode 23 is going to be my dream journal, which it'll be interesting to see what that brings up. Episode 24 is just in time for my favourite holiday of the year. That's right, Halloween. I'm going to my horror movie expert, Mr. Joe Mayers. I think that's how you pronounce his surname. I can always clarify that when I speak to him. Anyway, we're going to be talking to Joe, who is my horror aficionado. I want to talk to him about the genre, why it appeals to so many people, why it's still going strong after so many decades, but more importantly, just in time for Halloween, where all of us are hopefully going to be staying indoors, safe, protecting ourselves and other people. I wanted to ask him and pick his brain more specifically about some horror films he would recommend, compile a short list of lesser known, obscure horror films that you may not have heard of or seen, hopefully. That way, you can sink your fangs into some fresh veins of horror films for your Halloween weekend. And then after all of that spooktacular stuff, episodes 25 and the season finale 26 are going to happen in very quick succession. They're going to be very raw, barely edited, and they're just kind of going to be hot takes on pre-election and post-election, which really, Halloween aside, that is the true horror show that we're all sort of running through right now. And that's how we're going to end. Yeah, we're going to end, hopefully, post-November 3rd on an optimistic note. You know, it's honestly, the season finale has not been written yet. I'm terrified as to what the final draft is going to be, but I'm staying optimistic that it's going to be an upbeat, positive way to finish things, and it's going to want us to come back for season 2 with some sort of optimism and hope and a breath of fresh air, because God knows we all need it. So yeah, that is what you can expect in the final stretch of the first season. If you haven't already, then the best way that you can get on board for these last few episodes and support the show and listen to all the episodes that have come before is to subscribe to the show on whatever podcast platform you get your podcasts from. We're pretty much available anywhere. So yeah, if you seek, you more than likely will find, and if you do find, then you definitely should subscribe. It helps us out, and also it means you never ever miss a show, and you don't have to even lift a finger to listen to it. Well, maybe you do to start it, but you know what I mean. Makes life a lot more easier for you. So yeah, do that. And if you feel extra helpful, give us a rating and a review. Yeah. Go check out the website as well, by the way, dimed-out.com. You can find all sorts of stuff there. Previous episodes, you can find some of the live streams that I've been doing, like on a bi-weekly period. You can learn more about Dimed Out Disco, which happened this last week. It's something I'm going to be doing every month. It was going to be Friday, but I'm moving it to Sunday, the first Sunday of every month. I'm going to be doing some live streaming DJ sets. I say DJ sets, you know, they're not really, I'm not at that level, but it just makes it sound a little bit more legit. So yeah, the first Sunday of every month, we're going to be playing sort of a themed playlist of music and just hanging out and chatting, all sorts of good stuff. You can find that at the website as well, along with other bits and pieces too, including a wonderful write-up we got from the presenter, producer of On Being Human, which is another podcast, Brandy Flex. She recommended us as one of her 5 recommendations, and it was an absolutely wonderful write-up, and I just want to say on air, if you're listening, Brandy, thank you very much. That was incredibly sweet. So yeah, go check that out. You can find all that stuff at the website. You can also find all the links to Rachel's stuff as well. So yeah, if you are looking for some business strategy, as I said, she is the woman that you need to go see, and you can find all of her stuff by going to dimed-out.com to the show notes for this episode, and I'll put it all in there. So if you want to get in touch directly via social media or via the website, whatever is your preference, you can do so by jumping off from our website, dimed-out.com. Other than that, I think that's about it. I've gone way over my usual time, so that's not good, is it? Anyway, next week, Rachel is back. As I said, we're talking about some alternative medicine, self-healing, woo-woo shit. It's going to be good. It's going to be fun. You know, it's going to be enlightened to some degree. Yeah, sure. Other than that, thank you as always for listening. Look after yourself, guys. Seriously, look after yourselves and look after each other. And until next week, just keep tracking, man, and keep it dimed out. It's gonna be okay. We're gonna be okay.